All right, welcome to part 2. We're about to level up on solving logs. So on the first one, I've got 5, natural log 2x minus 9 minus 12 equals 18. So a whole lot of numbers. So this is what we're trying to get by itself. I'm trying to get the natural log by itself. To do that, I'm going to need to get rid of the 12, and I need to get rid of the 5. Now, which one do you have to get rid of first? The 12. So we have to add or subtract first. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Drop down 5, natural log 2x minus 9, and then I have 30. So step 1, done. Step 2, now I need to get rid of this 5. That 5 is in front of the natural log. There is no symbol next to it, so I know it's multiplication. So we're going to divide by 5, which will be the inverse of multiplying. So now I have the natural log of 2x minus 9 equals 6. So now I need to get rid of this natural log. However, to do that I would turn it into an exponential, but there's no base down here to turn it into an exponential. So we know natural log is the same as log base e. So I'm just going to turn this problem into log base e. Now that I have a base, I can turn this into an exponential. So I can say e to the that equals that. So follow your e to the 6th equals 2x minus 9. So now log is gone away, which is great. So now I'm trying to, again, get x by itself. The reason x is not by itself is because there's a negative 9 and a 2. So I need to get rid of both of them. We do have to add or subtract first. So we are going to add 9 to both sides. Now, a common mistake here is to write 9e to the 6th, but that would be multiplication. So you're just going to write it how you would read that from top to bottom. So I would read that e to the 6th plus 9 equals 2x. Last step, divide by 2. I'm running out of room. And so that's our answer. X is by itself. E to the 6th plus 9 over 2. Now, this is like the one problem that if you do it in the calculator, you're going to get some crazy decimal. Because again, we know E stands for like 2.7 da 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 da. So essentially, this is just a very large decimal number. So if you did the shortcut of graphing it in the calculator, it would not give you the exact answer, unfortunately. So natural logs are kind of the one that you do need to do by hand. Now, I do need to check my work. It looks kind of insane. But if I take my solution and plug it into my original x value, which was the original one up here, and you type it all in the calculator, you would get 18, which is what I wanted, because that's what was on the left side. Fun. So, when you are solving a natural log equation, e will always be in your answer because an e is the inverse of a natural log function. Yay. All right. This next problem, you've got a lot of room because it's going to take us a lot of work. Woo! So, for my people, let's just solve this by graphing. And then I will show you how it is done by hand. And you can choose whether or not you would like to do that. So, let's reach for our handy dandy calculator. So if I want to solve this by graphing, we're going to press y equals. I'm going to type this entire left side into y1. So I've got log, no base with this one, so that button's good. Log of 2x plus log x minus 5. Go down, we're going to type in a 2. So now, press graph. I'm trying to find the intersection. Looks like it's happening somewhere over here. So again, we're going to press second, trace. I want the intersection, so press 5. Now, I have no blinky dot because it is chilling a 0. You're going to have to hit the right arrow because the answer is somewhere to the right. I think you have to hit it like 20 times. Just keep hitting the right arrow. Right arrow, right arrow, right arrow. Okay, finally. Finally, we have a blinky dot. Now, once you've got the blinky dot, hit enter 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. There's our answer. X equals 10. Okay. So let's go into this problem already kind of knowing the answer. I know x equals 10. But now I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. Because heaven forbid it was on the non-calculated part of your test. So, we have 2 logs on the same side. Well, we don't want 2 logs on the same side. We want to condense that to one singular log problem. So if you learn the properties from last class, we know that addition means multiplication. So this is going to turn into 1 log, and then I would have 2x multiplied by x minus 5. So we're going to use our properties of logs to condense it into one singular log. So I need to multiply this. So 2x times x would be 2x squared. 2x times negative 5 is negative 10x. Drop everything down. Log equals 2. So now, I know this looks familiar. That's a quadratic. So I know I'm going to have to reach back all the way to last semester to remember how to solve a quadratic. All right. Now, this is a log. I want to get rid of a log. So to do that, you're going to turn it into an exponent. However, you don't have an exponent base. So what's the base of a log? It is an imaginary 10 down there. So now I can turn this into an exponential. So da, 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 da. So 10 squared equals 2x squared minus 10x. So now I've got a regular quadratic that, again, I just have to go back to my previous knowledge of how to solve a quadratic. So 10 squared is 100. Drop down 2x squared minus 10x. To solve a quadratic, we need it to equal 0. So I need to move this 100 to the right side. So subtract 100. You can't subtract 100 under any of its like terms. There are no like terms for that one. So again, this quadratic is 2x squared minus 10x minus 100. Because now my problem equals 0, and that is how we solve quadratics. Now, you can either do the quadratic formula, or you can factor, because that's everyone's favorite thing, factoring. So I'm going to factor this. So I'm going to see if there's a greatest common factor. So what goes into 2, 10, and 100? It's a 2. So my greatest common factor is a 2. I'm going to divide everything by a 2. So now this inside, I need to factor it. So to the side, let's do our t-chart. Now again, if you guys are already hating me, we already know the answer is 10. You know how to do it in the calculator. But let's remember factoring. So we're going to figure out what multiplies to get negative 50. That adds to get negative 5. So what multiplies to get 50? 5 times 10. How could we add those and get a negative 5? If it was a negative 10 and a positive 5. So that works. Once we find our 2 factors that work, I'm going to break them up in the parentheses. So I've got x minus 10 and then x plus a 5. And again, that 2 just kind of drops down. So we have factored the problem, but now we have to solve the problem. So when we're solving, we're trying to see where it equals 0. So what number, take away a 10, would be a 0? That would be a positive 10. So again, we learned the signs just kind of switch. Again, what number plus 5 is a 0? That would be a negative 5. Because a negative 5 and a positive 5 would get you to a 0. So you have found the solutions. Yay. But our calculator told us there was only one answer. So why does this one not work? So if you remember, we cannot log a negative number. So my original problem had log of 2x. So if I have log of 2 and my x value is a negative 5, and I plug that in, I would have log of negative 10. Now, you can't log a negative number, okay? So that's why this answer is extraneous. And it does not work. 10 works though, because if you plugged in 10, you would have 2 times 10. You could log 20. Same thing right here. If you plugged in 10, you would have 10 take away 5, and that's a positive 5. So we could do this problem because it's not a negative number. Cool, cool? So, look at all that beautiful math you just did. Yay. So you guys have one last problem. It is a U-try. It is a challenging problem, so there's the answer. So if you would like to do it in the calculator and not do all this lovely math, you do you. But if you would like to practice factoring, go ahead and try that next problem. So press pause, give it a try, and I'll show you the answers. Alrighty. So let's talk about our answer. I'll show the lovely math for you guys, and then I'll talk about how you can do it solely in the calculator. So again, if you've got 2 logs on the same side, we want to condense that into one singular log. So log base 2. When you condense it, that plus is going to mean multiplication. So I'd have x times x, and then x times a negative 2, which gives us another lovely quadratic. So that is my key that I'm going to have to do the quadratic formula or factor. So now to get rid of log, turn it into an exponent. So you've got 2 to the third equals that quadratic. I know 2 to the third is 8. So I have 8 equals that quadratic. Now again, to solve a quadratic, you need it to equal 0. So move that 8 over to the right side by subtracting it. You can't subtract it under these 2, so it would just tack on to the very end. So again, we could do quadratic formula, or we can factor. What multiplies to get negative 8, that adds to get negative 2. That answer is a negative 4 and a positive 2. So we take those solutions, our factors, and put them in the parentheses. Again, we're not done because we have to solve it. So what would make this 0? It would be a positive 4. What would make this 0? It would be a negative 2. But again, quadratics is when you can get an extraneous solution. You cannot take this negative 2 number and put it here because you cannot log a negative number. So there was only one positive answer that worked. It was a 4. So now again, I will show you how to do this if you're like, nope, nope, not doing that math. So we press y equals. We type in log base 2, which is again under the math section. Log base 2 of x, and then put a plus. A lot of people forget the plus. Another log base 2. And then we have x minus 2 in parentheses. And then on the right-hand side, we just have a 3. So again, if you didn't want to do any of the factoring, you would need to know how to do it in the calculator. We press graph. The intersection would be right about there. Again, that looks nice. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, but let's check it. Hit second trace. Press 5. You're going to have to hit the right arrow a few times to get that blinky dot to appear. Once it does, hit enter 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. There is our answer of x equals 4. So, 2 ways of solving the problem. You can solve it by graphing. If this is on the calculator part of your test, which it would be. Or you can do this lovely mental math if it was on the non-calculator part of your test. Which, why would we do that to you? Alrighty, so you can head to practice now. There is lots of delta math. Ignore this bottom part, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to see your work. Again, it's not a grade currently in the year 2026. It's just there for you to practice. So do as many as you need to get better at this, but I'm not going to grade it.